is Joke Silva. You're watching Indigo Tongues. My name is Joke Silva. I'm an actor, I'm a producer, I'm a trainer, and I come from Lagos State. Silva is a Portuguese Brazilian name, and legend has it that we are from, the entire family is from a couple of brothers who were returnees. They were sailors, you know, there were sailors who were slaves in Brazil, and then got their freedom and then started traversing the coastal area of Lagos, set up home in the Brazilian, what is known as the Brazilian quarters, which is like Bangbushi. Yes, so you have the Da Silva, Tate Silva, Show Silva. My father is from the Da Silva line, but just decided to stick to Silva. Yes. It was watching television in the early 60s and watching people like Auntie Bidun Allison on The Village Headmaster as Amebo, speaking incredible broken English, this character, this busybody character, you know, and then watching an interview of her speaking impeccable English with a standard English accent. And I thought, wow, I'd like to be able to do that. That was one. Then the other was going to Glover Hall and watching Ogunde on stage, you know, watching his stage plays, watching the wives, the dances, the entire operatic ensemble. And I thought, I love this. When we're looking at the Gender Equality Bill, one's thoughts on it was that if culturally, if we hadn't moved away from who we were culturally, all right, it wouldn't have been necessary. Because of colonialization, all right, we kind of forgot who we were and came up with all kinds of rules that we felt, that we now claimed to be our culture. There has been quite an increase in domestic violence, and I do believe that something can be done to curtail this, but you know, I sometimes wonder whether it's because it's now being reported, that it's been there but wasn't reported. You know, one of the things, I think this is one of the positives of social media. Do you understand? I think as a society, we also need to teach our children and our young people to have a strong sense of self-esteem. This strong sense of self-esteem of who you are. No amount of pressure from the society will keep you in that space. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What is wrong with couples just going apart for a while and sort out whatever the problem is before they kill each other? Do you understand? For television, it would have to be Second Chance. My part as Rolly in Second Chance, my part as Miriam in Mirror in the Sun. Then film would be violated, and for the English-speaking audience, and then as Mama Tega in violated.
I am trustee until you have a child.
See, then you go threatening me again.
It's no threat, dear.
And then for the Yoruba-speaking audience, it would be as Amdalat in Orolojo.
Ó dàárọ̀ ọ̀la nìyẹn o. Amúdára alẹ́ láàárọ̀ ọ̀la. Mo ìwé padà lọ sí Ìbàdàn lálẹ́ ní àárọ̀ ọ̀la láàárọ̀ kùtùkùtù. So mi ò ní rí. Kò burú, ó lè díjọ́ mi ìgbà mi. Jọ má bínú.
Theatre would be as Omajua in The King Must Dance Naked by Fred Agbeegbe. So I was just blessed. I was working on all platforms. So which was, yes. So if people don't, so if people don't remember one, they remember yes, I remember this, I remember, yes. I'll mention just a couple. One of them is The Kingmaker, which is our own film. It was produced by our company, Lufudo Productions. The story idea was mine, and then, we got Mrs. Bumiwison to write it. We've collaborated with Omotola and Genevieve, and that was a very interesting production. We did that in Abuja. We work well together, and in most of these, we play husband and wife. So it's easier to be more intimate. There was a particular one we were doing in the very early years of Nollywood, called The Golden Cage, and I was working. My love interest in that film was an amazing actor called Yomila Inka, Mr. Yomila Inka. And we have a kissing scene. My husband was the associate director on the film. Then comes the kissing scene, and he gets so uncomfortable. By the end of the day, we end up breaking some stuff. So we had to just ban him, just out. Ask him to leave he can watch it. He can watch it. Like if I have intimate scenes with anybody and we're just watching the film, he's okay. But to be there whilst he's being filmed, no, he can't. Performing outdoor theatre, the time when I first started out as a very young actress, one of my first performances was a German adaptation of, I think it was of a play by Brecht that late Professor Bode Osoyin had translated and called it, I think it was The Exception and the Rule or Model, but it was in the open air for Goethe Institute. The beauty of that particular one was that Goethe Institute at that time was pretty close to the water. And so you found that your voice carried. There was just something about the acoustics. The voice carries, when you're close to water. So that was one of my first experiences. And then later on, we did some work for an NGO called MPark, where we went to different marketplaces to talk about female sexuality and reproductive health. And we did this through drama and a bit of dance. And we went to places like Makoko, places like Mushin, Now that was hard work. There was nothing for the voice to bounce off, and even though we tried to use mics, body mics, you really needed to push the voice as much as possible, just so that people could hear you. But the beauty of it too, it was like like all live theater, the immediacy of the reaction of your audience, That's really fun. I enjoy that. We've done that with Hereward. There was a particular, it was also in Mushin, another part of Mushin that we did Hereward in the market. And that was a rainy day and it was pretty muddy, but it still worked. The message got across. The difference with that, as a company, when you go for community theatre, you try not to drink too much before you perform. Neither do you eat too much, just so that you don't have to use the loo, because you're not sure of the kind of loo you're going to get to use. Which I mean, that's usually not an issue when you're in a theatrical building, you know. But they're both fun. They're both absolutely fun. And it's always, always, always about the audience. The name Nollywood, to be honest, it's become like Omo. Omo is a generic name for all kinds of detergents. So Leewood, as long as it has Leewood behind it, it's become the name for any kind of film industry. So is it Dollywood for Ghanaian? Is it Kannywood for Kenyan? Is it, whatever? Once it's Leewood, of course we would have loved the name to come from us. But it hasn't, no problem. We've claimed it. We've made it our own. Do you understand? It's like what we've done with Ankara. At the moment, we are not making our own Ankara. I hope by God's grace we will start making it. But Ankara is Dutch. Do you understand? Especially the very high quality ones are Dutch. We've claimed it. We own it. Stockfish. We don't produce stockfish, but we eat it. It's Norwegian. Do you understand what I mean? It's a name. We've claimed it. We own it. So that's Nollywood. What for me is key is that we don't then let Nollywood cover the entire, performing arts industry. I believe that we all belong to, and all are, whether we're speaking Yoruba, Hausa, whatever language we speak in our films, it's all Nollywood. We were at a time when there was a downturn in the economy, very much like now. And a lot of people migrated. A lot of people migrated and went to settle in different parts of the world. They're away from home. They're excited to get anything about home. All right? At that time, it coincided with the time when we had found technology worked in our favor. A cheaper way to put our films on tape. All right? Celluloid was, because of the downturn of the economy, celluloid was way beyond the reach of most producers. Can you imagine? Just skyrocketed and skyrocketed. How do you buy your film stock? The CDs were sent to a ready market. There was a ready market outside the shores of Nigeria. What was also interesting about that too was that we were getting Nigerian stories. You were getting Africans seeing African stories written by Africans, all right? Without any apologies, without any appeal to some sense of being culturally correct. We were just human beings telling human stories, telling our experiences. That was nice. That was fresh. We were just being. And it was entertaining. Otumbimi. Don't you roll your eyes at me. You know I don't like it.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
Mabami Chinyo, you know you are rolling your eyes. It's disrespectful.
Look, mother. Look, will you stop blasting on that bloody horn?
Ogana, this.
Shut up and drive.
Sorry, sir.
Nothing to worry about. Lagos track.
I worry about you. And like late Sembene Usman said, Nigeria made it, Nollywood made it possible for Africa to tell its stories. Licensed distributors. Because if we have licensed distributors, we can track the money. If we can track the money, we can get investors. But once you can't track the money, nobody's going to invest. Look at what happened when they invested in half of a yellow sun. And that was the first major investment from corporate Nigeria into Nollywood. And they got their fingers burnt. It's good. I mean, if we were not doing anything worth doing, then they wouldn't be here. So it is very encouraging for us. You know, all Nollywood can do is just keep getting better and better. And it's another stream of income for the filmmaker, for everybody. Yeah. Are women who have made incredible strides and they are at the top of their game or top of the game in Nollywood. If we have a look at it, Peace Anyiam-osigwe, she is the promoter of the AMA Awards, one of the indigenous awards that we have for Nollywood. And it's not only for Nollywood, for African cinema. One of the most prestigious awards that we have for African cinema. You have Chioma Ude. She is also the promoter of the Afrif Festival. You have Uche Jumbo, one of the most, I think, prolific producers with Isong, producers, directors. Yeah, is a producer as well in Nollywood. All of them, both of them, of course, coming after late Amaka Igwe, who did some amazing work as a director and as a writer for Nollywood. You have people like Bumi Onyison, also an amazing writer, whether in English or in Yoruba. And she dealt with creating characters that were believable about women, You have, unfortunately, she's no longer on our shows, but Lola Fani-Kayode was the precursor to them all, with works like Mind Bending, with works like Mirror in the Sun. That was Lola Fani-Kayode. Road Safety. She was just an amazing writer, producer, director in the early years. So I would like more women to be in positions of authority in the guilds, because I think they would do a better job than what we're getting right now. For us as a developing nation, we need to have more skills acquisition. And that's why we set up Lufodo Academy of Performing Arts for our own industry. One of the things we've noticed about us in Nigeria is that people do not respect skill. They respect paper qualification, irrespective of how you got that paper qualification. That's no way for any nation to develop, especially in the 21st century. Skills are just as important as academics. The current project we're working on is the musical called Heartbeat. Heartbeat, the musical, it's a fusion of dance, of singing, of acting.
Is exploring both social issues and personal issues all at the same time.
Huge project. Yes. We've just finished an amazing tour of 2 tours actually. That was Little Drops, written by Professor Ahmed Yerima.
Love me. Now wanted my head. Your head. Tell us everything.
Very soon after that, we then went on a tour of Hear Word, Eye Open Eye Productions. That's headed by Mrs. Ufoma Fafuwa, and she's the director of Hear Word. Talking about film, there would be One Fine Day, directed by Isong, Foley, for which I got a AMVCA nomination, and then television, Las Giddy Cops. My mother, definitely. My mother, she was a woman definitely before her time, studying medicine at a time when women were not supposed to be studying medicine. Here you have a medical doctor all through her life. She died at the age of 89. And till she was about 88 and a half, she was still reading medical journals, very, very alert, had a strong sense of responsibility about her environment, about the people within her environment. And then she lets me be an actress, no stress. So great influencer. People like Mrs. Kofo Olaoye, Auntie Kofo, as I fondly call her. I used to stay with the family when my mom traveled. She worked quite a bit with the WHO, so she went to Geneva quite a bit. And, I'm with them, and I see this woman at 3 a.m. in the morning, finishing up files that she couldn't finish at work because she got home early to be with us, the children. So she wakes up early to finish up. She was an administrator. Do you understand? These, for me, there are images that stick with you. You don't go to Atikomo because you're having stress or something and then no lipstick. What's wrong with you? It's nobody's business that, everything must be in place. So that for those whose business it is, then you can have that. It's not, your business is not for the entire world. Do you understand? For me, it's hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. I came across that saying as a young girl on a postcard in Glendora, and I just saw it, and it just resonated. And I bought it, and I stuck it on my door. And so whatever stage of life I have been, whatever dreams I have, and it's been amazing. God gives me different dreams at different stages of my life. And for each stage, I've found, looking back, that because I've held fast to the dream that I had at a particular time, I achieve it. And then the next one comes. And then the next one comes. To have people whose lives one has touched, one has touched their lives for the better. I left school, next year it will be 40 years since I left secondary school. And my my set. We met for the first time last week. And the beauty of it was that we were talking about our headmistress in different ways. You know, what she did for each one of us, how we felt a sense of, we called her Madam, Mrs. Choson. We always used to say, Madam is coming, everybody, strict. But she had that, one of those who was a born educator and had, she had an instinct of understanding, the children that came under her care. And so that's the kind of legacy I want as well, where when people think about me, it's that I've been able to impact their life for good in whatever area it is. Our can-do spirit, dare call it arrogance, a kind of, I think it's properness. The Nigerian, whether man or woman, likes to dress well, put up good, I like that about us. I like our sense of fun. We have an incredible sense of fun. We have an incredible sense of everything is possible, There's a can-do spirit about us that is wonderful. It's to harness that and to harness that and then envision together the kind of country that we want and go for it.
King